I think I already mentioned this to you. I really like the part where Meg says that Joanna has learned to control her temper better recently when she has started to date the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Not the Lawrence boy.
Not that one, the
Yeah.
Frederick character. One thing that was different from mine is that in Louisa May Alcott's, Joe is the very last romance. Yeah. But with mine, I wanted Joe, because everyone kind of thinks of Joe when they think of Little Women. So I wanted to start things off. She's kind of the more exciting character, usually. So I wanted to start off with her. But then I ran into the issue in the future books. Wait, he's already here. So how do we work Frederick in to the other storylines? So that was interesting to have to figure out.
I thought it was nice how you can see them now through these other characters from their eyes. The way Meg sees how good he is to her.
Mm-hmm.
Meg sees her sister becoming this person that she's meant to be because of this other guy, how he helps her. And I really look forward to read the Amy and Laurie book now. And the Beth book too.
The Beth one was definitely the most challenging one because there's no backstory. There's nothing in the original. Just here's Beth. She's shy and plays the piano and has cats and dolls, and now she dies. So it was a lot more kind of going on a character outline than a fully formed character and relationship. So that one I kind of had to do a lot more original story for than I did the other ones. There's so much Amy and Laurie in both Good Wives and Little Women that then for my last book, it kind of made up for having to make stuff up because there was so much to draw from.
I look forward to read both of them. Yeah, Beth is interesting because it's kind of funny because when I read the Finnish version, I got this impression that she had a crush on Laurie. But when I read the English one, I wondered, like, did she have a crush on him or not? Because I think maybe it was the translation that kind of romanticized him in her eyes a bit more than the English one. But then I read that Louisa Alcott had a secret admirer, or that she had a crush on someone. So I was like, maybe my childhood Laurie and Beth romance had some kind of base on reality.
Maybe.
That was interesting.
I just always...
Hello, friends. It is Niina from the Little Woman podcast. Just to let you all know that the Little Woman podcast episode transcripts are now available as books. You can find them as paperbacks and ebooks. They are wonderful reading for all the fans of Louisa May Alcott. You can find all the links from the description. And now, back to the show.
Thought that Joe thinks Beth has a little crush on Laurie. And then later, she finds out it was because she kept staring out the window and she thought that Beth was staring after Laurie and she was quieter and more flustered. And so she was seeing all these signs of having a crush or being in love. And later, Joe, I think it says that Joe realizes it was because Beth was realizing she was not going to get better.
True.
And it was kind of more the coming to terms, I guess, with her mortality.
I read that Louisa Alcott had a crush on some neighbor boy and that Louisa May Alcott thought that she was in love with somebody.
I didn't know that part, so that's, well, maybe.
When I read the Finnish version as a child, and I thought, okay, maybe Beth has a crush on Laurie. Now I think, okay, maybe that was validated. But then I read the English version. I didn't feel that she had a feelings for Laurie that were romantic, only like sisterly feelings. Very interesting.
Yeah, it is. All kinds of fan fictions we could have here.
Yeah. And just that she did have a crush on somebody. I will look forward to read your book. Beth is a very mysterious character.
She is, because there's just not a lot about her.
Some of the research that I've read about Lizzie Alcott, it feels very one-dimensional, but maybe it's because people tend to read her through Beth's character.
Probably.
Do you have a favorite Meg on movies or Little Women adaptations?
Well, I love almost everything about the 1994 one. So I like that actress. I also really liked the Meg in the modern adaptation movie.
The 2018.
Yeah, I really liked her.
Those two are good ones.
Yeah, those two I think are my favorite Megs.
I think Trini Alvarado in the 1994 film is maybe closest to the book Meg.
She did play it pretty close to the original.
She has that quiet strength that the character
needs. She does.
One thing that I liked in the modern version is the way it kind of shows how the family was very religious. Meg, she goes to parties, she drinks, but then she also has these very conflicted feelings about being there, being part of the social crowd and the popular kids there. It kind of played on her fate, that adaptation. That version made very clear that the father was like a pastor.
Religious, a chaplain.
And the family was quite different to the other people in the town. When I grew up, my best friend came from a very religious family. So I kind of felt that she had some similar experiences when we were growing up.
Okay.
She always felt guilty after she drank something with alcohol, or even if she smoked. Like she always felt really guilty afterwards. So maybe the March sisters would have been like that because, in the book, they don't like to drink, and they have some pretty strong views about Laurie when he smokes cigarettes.
Right, goes to the billiard place.
Yeah, all these things that were not seen very appropriate back then.
Right.
So I can see Meg feeling quite conflicted by those things. There's one thing that I really love when I read Little Men again. There's this moment where Fredrik says that he stopped smoking because he wanted to show good examples for the students. Okay. And I really like that.
I didn't remember that part. That's interesting.
It's funny because Jo is so not happy with Laurie when he smokes, but she doesn't have problems with Fredrik smoking.
That is funny.
They say that love makes us blind.
Yes.
That was funny. Laurie gave up smoking for Jo, or he says he did. But Fredrik gave up smoking for the students, apparently.
The students, yeah. Well, and I think that also goes back to how people see the mothering aspect, how Jo would kind of mother Laurie.
That's
so
true.
She would want to be telling him what he shouldn't do, and Fredrik, what she was never trying to be a sisterly or motherly role with.
No.
He can make his own decisions, but she's gonna tell Laurie what he should not be doing.
Yeah, that was so fun to read.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. That is funny.
Yeah, last time I read it, I highlighted all the Fredrik parts so I can make it to the podcast someday.
I haven't read Little Men very many times. I've read Little Women over and over and over and over, and I like Little Men, but I just haven't read it maybe once recently because I wanted to kind of know where that went as I was writing mine, and then once when I was younger. But I don't know it nearly as well as I know Little Women.
Yeah, I've read Little Men many times when I was younger, but I haven't really read it as an adult. Now I have read it a couple of times for the podcast.
I liked in Little Men just seeing the grown sisters and their husbands interact and how they're still friends, and how Laurie is still the fun uncle who comes in and riles them all up and then is like, well, bye. Jo is stuck trying to calm them down for bed or whatever. Stuff like that I found funny.
Well, Little Men is also heartbreaking because we lose John in that book.
I know. I saw as I was reading it, because I didn't remember much about it at all when I read it when I was younger, and I'm reading it, and I think the chapter is named John Brooke or something, and I'm like, oh no. No. And that's what it was. And I'm just like, no, we can't lose him.
And he was such a good character and a father. And There's this funny moment when Fredrik says that when he and Laurie got married, they would ask John for marital advice.
Oh, okay.
Somebody write a book about that.
Yeah, we need that. We need that episode. What would he say?
Do men even ask about marital advice? I don't know.
Right. I don't know either.
I want to read that.
I just want to know what he said. Someone needs to write that.
But he had been married for the longest.
You'll have to do a Little Men podcast sometime.
Yeah, I'm now doing these readings of the different chapters in Little Woman, but at some point we will move into Little Men after we have done Little Woman.
When I have free hour or whatever, I need to go and listen to the last one you posted with all the questions. Those people's questions. I've been wanting to listen to it since you posted it, but it was the last week of school and graduation, and
yeah,
I went and helped out with a friend's parents' funeral luncheon, and then my husband was off school, and all these appointments for the kids that we pushed off until summer so that we wouldn't have to take them out of school. So it's been kind of crazy, but I need to remember to go back. I kept the email because I'm on the mailing list. I'm like, as long as I keep the email in my box, I'll see it when I'm randomly scrolling down trying to clean it out, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that I still have to go back to that and listen to it because it sounded interesting.